Kwesi, once you get past the initial interviews and the stuff right away when you got to the team, you got to Minnesota, what's the onboarding process like? How do you get up to speed on the Minnesota Vikings and put yourself in a position to make all the key decisions that you need to make now?
Yeah, it's fast and furious. The door is open.
Yeah.
Rob's coming through it a lot. Andrew Miller's coming through it a lot. And they're just talking about the team and all the institutional knowledge and things that have been in the building before I got there. But like anything, it's just finding a plan of attack, finding out where you are and where you need to get to and just kind of figuring out the steps to do it in the most efficient way possible. So that's what it's been, but it's been, like you said, it's been fast and furious, but it's great. It's a challenge. There's always going to be a smile on my face when there's a challenge in front of me.
You obviously have been to combines, but this is your first one as a general manager of a football team. So did that require getting a new suit or like new shoes, shine your shoes at the airport?
Yeah,
this is big time, man.
In some ways, it's very different, and in some ways, it's the same. I think I've gotten here because I've been myself unapologetically so in terms of the way I think, act, and talk. And one of my favorite things that I got from Kyle and some of the guys that work in San Francisco is it's okay to be yourself. There isn't some single definition of a football guy. A football guy is somebody who loves the game and wants to spend a lot of his time trying to create. And so that's how I try and focus and accomplish it. And then in terms of it being the same, you run up and your friends, you have this, my buddy Rand Carthon, one of my favorite people, runs up and we have our Coming to America greeting. And we do that to each other.
Wow.
You do your hugs, and that feels the same. And so, I hope it doesn't get much different. I think you'll have a couple more people trying to talk to you, looking for opportunities, and that's okay. Because people need opportunities, and I'd love to help them.
Or opportunities can be defined one way, but the other side of it would be like you're new and you got a lot of veteran GMs, so it's like, hey, Kwesi, come on over here, man. I got a whopper of a deal.
Right.
I want to talk to you about that.
That's right. New guy.
It's like coming to America, man, but I didn't just get here.
I guess to that point, and this is all speculative and looking ahead, but when I'm thinking about the draft, your first time running a draft room, prepping a draft, being the person who makes the final call, I assume you'll make the final call. Do you feel like, in that situation, you might not be as aggressive as, say, Rick Spielman was, who moved up and down the draft board, down a lot, and made a lot of moves? Do you think maybe you play this one just a little closer to the vest and, a little more straight because it's your first draft?
No, I'll be honest. I think you've heard me talk about the things that are in common in a successful organization. One of those things is suppression of ego. So what I hear in that is something that would be related to my feelings, and that has nothing to do with what we're doing here. We're trying to build a championship team, so we're going to do what's best for that, and that's it, and solely it. And so we won't be more aggressive, less aggressive, because I'm the first year or second year. We got a room full of people that are counting on me to combine all the information to make great decisions, and I'm not going to let them down.
Yeah, that's been one of my common threads on the KFAN radio show is that all cards are on the table. Yeah. I mean, not only because this is your first time, but nevertheless, I mean, we could go 12-3, we could go 12 back. I mean, you could do anything. Yeah. The art of unpredictability, that's an advantage, isn't it?
Absolutely. I tell our personnel guys all the time, if you don't give me options, we're not very powerful. If you give us options, you don't, like one player, like four players, for example, it's just ability, a chance to move on the board. But ultimately, you're trying to set, there's a goal. There's a number of great players you need to win at the highest level. It's not about one, it's about getting them all together in the same place, in the same building, in the same year, with good schemes and good coaches and good culture and all that. So ultimately, that's what you're trying to do, and that sometimes will require you to make some calculated decisions up or down the board, and that's what we're going to do.
You mentioned great players. In your introductory press conference, you talked about explosive players. We're here at the Combine. Are there some traits of explosive players that you can identify at the Combine, and is the Combine part of that process of finding those kinds of players?
No question. I think there are certain drills that are correlated to it, and obviously I used to do that analysis, but what you learned was you want the information to all go the same direction. So you want the scouts to also see an explosive player. You want him to have explosive practice habits, and you want him to also show it when he shows up in the drills. So it's, again, you want to bet on the players who have all the information pointing towards the right thing, and that's what we're looking for when we're here.
Yeah. When you're looking at the full body of work that your team is going to put together, you've talked a lot about collaborating. You've already mentioned it here today. Collaborating with the different people inside the organization. How do you want to leverage the scouts and the rest of the team so that they best put the combine to use and get the information you want to make the best decisions you can.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that before we got here, which is, hey, what can we use this space and time for?
Yeah.
What can you even
get done here?
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
yeah.
And if that's a lot of things or little things, but let's be really specific and detailed about that. And then just do that. And then when we come back, let's take that information. Let's not overweight it. Let's not underweight it. Let's just treat it for what it is. And you've got 3 years of film and anecdotal information from the coaches. And then we have this week, kind of crazy week interview thing. Like, let's use it, but let's not maybe, use it so much. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do.
About the interviews, were you in a position to be in interviews prior to now, or is this going to be your first year doing interviews and being in the room for that?
Yeah, so the formal process I wasn't heavily involved with. Remember, when I got to Cleveland, there was no combine. So last time I was here, I was the head quantitative research guy for the 49ers and wasn't really involved. Now, I was involved in helping, thinking about being intentional about what they were asking, different types of questions. So I worked with John Lynch and some other guys about working on what was in the interview. Then last year I did some of the Zoom interviews, so it's not my first experience interviewing these guys and getting to know them. But the first time, certainly being at the lead seat, but I got KO next to me. I got a lot of great people, so I'm leaning on them, and we're doing some good things.
So when you last were here with the Niners in that role, it's like Lynch and whomever would talk to them about plays and designs and off the field stuff. And you'd roll in and say, okay, but what about the Pythagorean theorem? The answer's right in front of you, man. It's geometry,
You lead every interview with
Pythagorean. Wow. This is Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, General Manager of the Minnesota Vikings from the 2022 NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Thank you very much for joining us. Working with senior personnel guy, Ryan Grigson. In the early stages, what's that collaboration like? And walking up to draft day through free agency, what are your guys' roles?
Yeah, it's, he is somebody that means a lot to me, both personally and professionally. First and foremost, when he got to Cleveland, he just wanted to give back. Like, he made it his personal objective to really mentor and grow people like me, Glenn Cook, things like that, along with Adrian. But, he's meant a lot to me. He's taught me a lot of things about the job that helped me build processes that this transition process has been hard, but not as hard given some of the things he taught me about. But in terms of his role here, he's in my area. RG, like he's opinionated. He's a talented evaluator. So a lot of times when I'm not in the room and maybe I'm not able to be watching players as much as I want to be, I know he is, and it's night and day, and it's passionate, and I'm getting text probably right now, late round safety. But again, having that's great because my time is a little bit more, needs to be a little more efficiently used now. So he's doing that. Other Jamal, Money, they're all doing that and helping me kind of get to a place where, okay, now these guys, the fit, the scheme, all that works, and I can be more dedicated.
So Kwesi, is one thing you legitimately, from a human nature standpoint, are having to battle now is wanting to go fast. You got to hold the reins a little bit, right? Because you're just like, hey, free agency's close, let's do it. Draft is close, let's do it. Let's get everything restructured and just get everything together, but you got to hold back, right?
I would say that's probably other human nature. I think, again, from my background, you play the long game. You don't do well.
That's awesome.
Getting chopped up. I think Andrew Barry, one of the great things he taught me was, we look at horizons, 2-year, 3-year horizons and trying to plan. The draft in Cleveland, I always tell people the draft in Cleveland was kind of boring. For a good thing, because everything was so planned. You had a good sense for where things would shake out.
Well, Kevin doesn't have a pulse. That's good. That's also everything is flatline with Kevin.
No question. And so that's kind of what I hope to build here. And that's not because there's not uncertain things that can happen, but you just got to be prepared in certain scenarios and plan that way. So no, I don't. There's not a rush at all. I think you want to be strategic in your moves. Both free agency and the draft is one. It is one off season. There's different channels, but one plan, one vision, one strategy.